All right. So I've curated an exercise that combines all of the things that we just learned here and that uses the filtering with and or. And we're going to use the store database to work on it. So the question I have for you and the question that we will be answering is, how many female customers do we have from the state of Oregon, which has the abbreviation OR, and New York, which has the abbreviation NY? So we're combining all of the things that we just learned. Feel free to pause the video here and try out this exercise on your own. And when we come back, we'll be answering this question together. All right. So here we are in Valentina Studio. And we're going to start breaking down this exercise piece by piece. So we wanted to know who all is a female customer from the state of Oregon and the state of New York. Awesome. So over here, we can see we have the state. So we already know that we have to abbreviate on NY and OR. And then, where is their gender? Okay, so over here, we see their gender. And we can see that it is simplified in a filter with M and F. As I said, this exercise combines all of the things that you've learned so far. So what we want to do here is we want to combine all of the things that we've learned so far and get the amount of customers that are female from the state of Oregon and the state of New York. So let's start with a simple query here. So let's do a select here. And let's select the first name and the last name from customers. And we can always verify what we're doing here by looking at our table. And then we see customers over here, and we can always know what fields we have to work with. So let's execute that. And here we can see we have a bunch of weird first names and weird last names. So let's go over to customers. And we can see here that indeed the first and last names don't really make any sense. This is because it's generated data. So don't worry too much about that. But what we wanted to do was we wanted to filter our results, right? Because right now we have thousands of results and our filters were pretty clear. So we wanted to do where, and let's go look here. What is the field called? Our state. So where state is equal to Oregon. Okay, so let's filter out that subset of data. And we can see we have way less here. But we also wanted to filter out where the state was equal to New York. All right, so let's do that. Oh, yeah, we're not supposed to use the and keyword, right? Because that will conflict. A state can't have two values. So it's or the state equals New York. Awesome. So now you can see we have 400 records instead of 200. All right. But we also wanted to filter only the female customers. And this is where the exercise became tricky because I showed you a couple of principles. But were you able to implement them in the right way? Because as I said, there is an order of operations. And that's what becomes tricky about this exercise. What is that order of operations? Well, we're saying here, where the state is equal to Oregon, or the state is equal to New York. And then we only wanted the female customers. And like I told you, after the or statement, you start a new filter tree. You're filtering on different things. So what some of you might have done is and gender equals F. And then put and gender equals F. To be able to make sure that you got the gender for both states to set to female. So let's quickly check and let's execute it. So all of the genders are female. But what some of you might have also done, which might not have worked in your favor, is done this. Where state equals Oregon or state equals New York and gender equals female. And when you execute that, what you'll see is, oh, I'm getting male results here. Why are they male? So let's add the state to the result set and see where they're coming from. And we can see that they're coming from Oregon. And that's because this AND filter isn't filtering on female for the state of Oregon. And so if you saw that happen, you probably ended up doing this, which is great. You will now get only female results from both states. Now, there is a way to write this more simply. And if we copied out this and we used the parentheses in a way that combined the AND for both filters, we would end up with something like this. This is new, right? So I showed you the simple way of doing this, which is after the OR statement, the filter becomes for one or the other. And in this case, if you didn't use the parentheses in this way, you would have to use AND gender equals F for both statements. But what would happen if we did this? Let's execute this. And what you'll see is we're getting only female results for both. Interesting. So the parentheses are filtering the gender for both. Now remember when I told you the order of operations? Well, this goes into something called Boolean algebra. And we'll get deeper into that as we go along. But what we're seeing happen here is, remember when I told you that OR statement starts a new tree where it's going to search for this or this? And we just saw that if we copy the AND keyword, both for the state of New York and the state of Oregon, we'll get the same results. But if we use the parentheses in this way, where we wrap state equals Oregon or state equals New York, and then we do AND afterwards, something interesting happens. The AND gets applied for both use cases. That's a powerful little tool right there. And we'll dig deeper into why that is in subsequent videos. But now we have our result sets for both. But the question was to get the total number of female customers. Now what we could do is we could go to the bottom here and we would know that there are 200 female customers for the state of Oregon and the state of New York. But what if we did a count? And we counted the first name. Well, now we know for sure that there are 200 female customers for the state of Oregon and the state of New York. But we learned something much more valuable here than that answer. And that is how powerful parentheses can be when we do filters. And so remember when I said filters can become complicated? Well, we're just scratching the surface.